move on to this issue that, you know, every now and then when we have to talk about it, there is another development. So we are at it, and that's the Cecilia Dapaah stolen money issue. Now, when you go to citinewsroom.com, there's a story here that reads Cecilia Dapaah used aliases to conceal transactions from undeclared real estate business, and this is attributed to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Now, the story in detail says court documents filed by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, have disclosed that the former Sanitation Minister, Cecilia Dapaah, uses aliases to conceal transactions from undeclared real estate business. Quote, the OSP's criminal intelligence further suggested that a first respondent, as a Minister of State, was engaged in an undisclosed and undeclared real estate business in which he obscured and concealed the transactions by employing the use of aliases to avoid detection of the actual ownership of the business and properties, while cleverly receiving the proceeds of the transactions in a bank account and investment, unquote. A document by the OSP cited by citinewsroom.com also revealed that criminal intelligence suggested that a first respondent had unexplained large cash sums of money that's far above her income as a Minister of State, secreted in stashed up in her residence, and that her house helps had allegedly helped themselves to part of said sums of money through larceny, unquote. This is the latest action by the Office of the Special Prosecutor to confirm the seizure of suspected tainted properties belonging to Cecilia Dapaah. There are no financial records, this is a quote, and traces of the origins of the money reportedly stolen from the residence of the respondents, and the money discovered by the OSP at said residence. Further, there is no evidence of the amount of money having been derived from any legitimate businesses, profession, or vocation, and no evidence of said amounts having been lawfully declared and subjected to any statutory payment. During the search conducted in her presence, the first respondent disavowed and claimed no knowledge of the presence of the said cash sums in the residence. The conduct of the first respondent, being a public officer, heightened the suspicion of the authorized officers of the OSP that cash sums were tainted property. So that is that. Now, there are also other stories, you know, that are connected to this very one. Now, let me take this one as well. Also on Citi Newsroom, Cecilia Dapaah's dead brother's account active, still sending money to former minister. And there's also another one that the OSP is telling us. It says the Office of the Special Prosecutor has reviewed that a bank account belonging to the deceased brother of Cecilia Dapaah has been actively sending money to the former Sanitation Minister. This was contained in the latest document filed by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Quote, analysis of the statements in the first respondent's Prudential Bank account, so it gives the account number, highly suspicious transactions involving the name of the first respondent's deceased brother, Nana Kwesie's son. The said Nana Kwesie's son died in January 2022, and there is no record domiciled at the financial institutions of probate or letters of administration granted to personal representatives. There's a quote here. Strangely, there are active transfers from the deceased person's bank account to that of the first respondent's Prudential Bank account, and gives the number again. As recently as 19th September 2022 and 23rd May 2023, amounts of 10,450 cedis and 11,280,000 cedis, respectively, were transferred supposedly by the deceased brother to the first respondent. So the story goes on and on and on. You can visit the Citi Newsroom for details of this and many more. All right, so let me start with you. I don't know what to make of this. Every day we are uncovering something else. You know, we came here to talk about the OSP or the SP, you know, not doing what is needed, you know, in terms of freezing the accounts of Madam Cecilia Dapaah, the court saying unfreeze it, and then freezing it again and all that. And now this is what is coming up. The account of the deceased brother, you know, still very active. We don't know who is sending the monies. Yes,
it looks like every other week we discuss this issue here. Because it looks like since
it's a developing story, so
on this show,
yeah,
we discussed this issue, and I've maintained that this must be investigated to its logical conclusion.
Right.
I mean, there have been rumors, there have been accusations, there have been a lot of people saying a lot of things in relation to corruption and the conduct of public servants and all that. But most of them, over the years, get swept under the carpet. We don't get any logical conclusion to it. No lessons are learned. We move and similar things are repeated. I will still maintain my position on this issue. Madam Cecilia Dapaah has been accused of doing one thing or the other. By virtue of the way we run our country on rules, or should I say laws. Every human being, by what the legal fraternity says, and by our statutes, is not guilty until proven guilty. This, I think, will be one of the issues to do with a public servant that has really traveled a long while. It's been about 2 months or 3 months?
Yeah, I mean, it's been like not less than 2 months.
Yes, about 2 months. Yeah. I mean, this is quite a long one.
Perhaps also because of the magnitude of the numbers being mentioned.
Well, you know, it's sad that with a number of women within the political space, when you have to sit down and discuss one that most people till now perceived to have accomplished, and most of the young people looked up to. But be as it may, this issue started with her and her husband taking their domestic staff to court for stealing their money and property.
Yeah.
So that's one leg of the issue, which she has every right to do, and in actual fact is the right thing to do. Then special prosecutor, by virtue of his mandate, steps in because this is a public servant until she resigned. Was being paid by the state, was being taken care of by the state to serve the people. So the special prosecutor has to do this on behalf of all the people of Ghana.
Right.
Every taxpayer must know where their money has gone to. So what is being done is what has to be done under any circumstance. Her accounts were frozen. Unfortunately, the OSP breached the OSP's own laws. I mean, the acts that set up, the Act 959 or so, that set up the special prosecutor, says you need to get a court ruling when you freeze anybody's funds or seize anybody within 7 days. He breached that, which most legal people or lawyers said it was basic. Now he's gone further to strengthen his case. And when you listen to it, yesterday I heard one media house saying it's a leaked document, but it's supposed to be an affidavit that the OSP has filed at court. So definitely in one way or the other, it's a public document. They will both have their day in court. When, from the narratives, she's refused to disclose certain details. Probably she's waiting for her day in court, or she doesn't have any details to give. But until the OSP is done with his investigations thoroughly, because most of these things are like in progress. He just needs to get the court to give him that approval to seize the funds and freeze the accounts to further investigate, because there are some contradictory accounts and all that. I read at a point that even the statement that was written with respect to the first leg of the case to do with the domestic, because it's contrary to what she's saying now, even though she hasn't effected a change in her statement, which she can do. But the OSB hasn't cited any review or amendment of her statement. When these things happen, you can say a lot of things. Probably she's now realizing a lot of things. But at the end of the day, we all need to follow and make sure that this is investigated to its logical conclusion.
In this regard, private legal practitioner, lawyer Pigbu has stated, you know, that the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has lost moral stand on corruption, and he says that Pigbu made a statement in an interview on Eyewitness News on Citi FM on Tuesday following revelations by the OSP that the former Sanitation Minister was using aliases. He quotes, President Akufo-Addo has lost the moral stand. He's no longer on a moral high horse. He couldn't fire the minister. The minister left by herself, and that showed Akufo-Addo is weak. He couldn't fire her. So it goes on. You know, I'm sure we all remember what the president said when this issue came out, that he believes that at the end of the day, Madam Cecilia Dapaah will be vindicated. If you juxtapose that against what the revelations are today, would you agree with Martin Pigbu?
Was he speaking as a lawyer or was speaking as a social commentator?
He's always a lawyer.
No, I need to know, because I'm not a lawyer. I'm not the closest I've gone to doing anything legal is business law.
Okay.
That any business administration student takes as a course. But if, what's the name again?
Lawyer Martin Pigbu.
Yes, if he was actually talking about a lawyer, I don't see where he's going with this. We may have our opinions about our leaders, but this appetite, this penchant of this particular gentleman always going after the president is becoming monotonous and quite disinteresting. When did the issue happen? I think it happened on a Thursday, if my memory serves me right. When did the minister resign? I think a day after.
I mean, not long after.
A few hours after.
But did the president have to come and say that after the investigation, I am sure she will be...
Let me build my point.
Yeah.
So was he expecting the president to say, don't resign, wait and let me fire you? Was that? Or the fact that the woman was conscientious enough to take a step. And you remember in her letter, to save her government.
Yeah.
A government that she served in and believes in, from all these issues that we are discussing. Is that what he's not happy about? Sometimes we need to raise the issues a bit, especially for someone of his stature who should be educating us. Again, I don't think the law that they were taught is done on emotions.
Right.
It's done on facts and figures.
Right. Thank you very much.
The special prosecutor is investigating, has put an issue before the law courts. I think he should be educating us rather than going on a wild goose chase. What has President Akufo-Addo losing the moral high ground got to do with the issue we are discussing?
Very well, Doc. This is where we are on Cecilia Dapaah.
Yeah, I can see that my good friend Laura tone has come down when it came to this issue.
You are so mischievous.
But Doc, when it comes to public funds, you can't be excited when it's assumed you are losing
now
funds.
Now it is my turn, so
no,
let me take my time. You say she made some submission that NPP, they've struggled with COVID and blah, blah, blah.
So are we still going back to that?
Yes, let me just make a few remarks to that.
Doc has nothing to say
You see,
about this.
they have always made people believe that it's only Ghana that have suffered. Now go to Côte d'Ivoire, Togo, Burkina Faso. What is the inflation rate in this country? Are they saying that Ghana suffered most? I mean, if we talk about people who have been affected as far as COVID is concerned, I don't think we are among the worst hit country. So she should just stop mentioning the issue of now we've suffered about COVID, now Russia-Ukraine war. Ghana having suffered from the war more than Russia and Ukraine citizens itself. So it's just a no-go area. And she also mentioned that NPP is known for, intellectuals. And look, when you talk about intellectuals, I'm sure she's just forgotten. We had, may his soul rest in peace, Professor Evans Atta-Mills was a professor. We have Professor Kwame Ahoy. We have Professor Alabi. We have Professor Kwesi, and so on and so forth.
But the Ghanaian doesn't care about professors.
Yes, so what I'm just,
we are hungry.
Exactly, that's what I want to say. That yes, so the issue of the fact that you have vice president being a doctor doesn't mean that that was going to boost the economy. Now I want to say that textbooks, or we do not govern a country with textbooks. Bawumia, or His Excellency Dr. Bawumia, pride with the idea of textbook. And that is why we have found ourselves in the ditch in which we are currently. He, tried to use the theory of all things being equal, forgetting that in the real life, all things are not equal, as he has learned in economics. So if you use textbook and you think that by using textbook we can govern a country as he touted, today, I'm not too sure that NPP in their closet are proud of the economy and are proud of Bawumia because he is the head of the economic management team. But to come to the real issue, it's so sad and very embarrassing. My heart goes out to Madam Cecilia Dapaah, but it's so embarrassing where we are now. Until this case came up, we never knew that we had a lot of Reverend Kusi Boateng in NPP.
What does that mean?
Good. Now, Madam Cecilia Dapaah, during investigation, made the people aware that there was no money in her house and that the money has been stolen. When they came, they found some amount of money, about $590,000 in the house, and then also about 2.8 million Ghana cedis. She initially indicated she was not aware of the presence of those money. And then later on turned out to say that the $590,000 was part of the $1 million she had reported that her house held as stolen. Going forward, she came back later to also say that the 2.8 million was part of some transactions she had, and also part of that money belonged to her from a sitting allowance that she got, and from the special prosecutor's investigation, some of the monies were found in envelopes and in clothes, in polythene bags, and these were concealed. So the issue is, you are in your room. Why would you bury certain money at places that you think nobody will search?
But I decide how I want to keep my money.
Yes, so she knows that. But at the first place, she indicated that she was not even aware that that money or the monies were there. She indicated she was not aware. Then fast forward, she now owned or claimed ownership of the money and said, one, part of the money she got it from a sale of a business she operated, and the business that's a Dermacare cosmetic, is it Dermacare cosmetic? She sold, or the proceeds or some of the funds were from this business. Now, further investigation into the registration document indicated that a name by, the document named Maria Ewa was the owner of the business. Meanwhile, the minister's name is what? Cecilia Dapaah. But her business name, or the name she used to register the business that she's claiming ownership of, is Miriam Ewa. So I asked myself, is Madam Cecilia Dapaah now called Miriam Ewa? What TIN number did she use to register the business? Is she also having two TIN numbers like we are seeing in Reverend Kusi Boateng's case? Is that the case? Fast forward, She said that she sold her cosmetic business in 2003. And part of the money is what she's keeping in her house. From 2003 to 2023. How many years?
20.
20 years. And the money was still in her house. Now, when they checked...
What's wrong with that?
Yes. When they checked, the money was printed 2007. You sold your business and somebody bought the business 2003. But then the money the person used to buy the shop or the enterprise or whatever it is was printed in 2007. How possible?
Can I not owe you and decide to pay in 4 years' time?
That is not possible.
How?
There is no business in this country that somebody would buy. You want to sell something. You are selling it because you want money for something. I don't think you are just selling it because you just want to dispose of it.
These are assumptions. These are your opinion.
Well,
your own interpretation to that.
Let's come forward.
Yes, come forward.
Now, further investigation into this Dermacare cosmetic business Madam Cecilia Dapaah claimed she sold indicated that the business was registered 2018. 2018. So you can see. From selling business in 2003.
Yeah.
To money that was used to buy the business printed in 2007. Now the business was registered 2018. You can see the level of inconsistency. So there is no way anybody can say that indeed Madam Cecilia Dapaah owned a business or sold a business and the proceeds is part of the money that she kept in her room. Again, the special prosecutor indicated that some of the monies were in envelopes, different envelopes, I think about 32 envelopes. And she claims this money were certain allowances of about how much? About 130-something thousand Ghana cedis. Now, each of these envelopes, when you look at it, were more than any certain allowance given to a public servant. So again, how can you say that these are assumptions? Madam Cecilia Dapaah again indicated there was another business that had her signature. And the business name or the owner of the business is Victoria, a Duke. So I asked myself, one person, today she's Cecilia, tomorrow she's Miriam, the next day she's what? Victoria. And then the third one, she sold an estate. An estate, and the owner of the estate is Nanaya, is it Oji?
But I don't know why the OSP has taken this matter and they are doing the needful.
I am saying
so
that
there are
yes.
issues,
so
yeah.
the issue is not the fact that yes, she is the owner of this money, because you can see, you can see inconsistency in so many of her comments or her statements. So I will advise that in order for her not to implicate herself, because there are so many, she's contradicted herself in several instances. I think it is better for her probably to keep quiet, or to just open up and say the reality of the case. But you see, this is a woman who is not just an ordinary woman. She's a cabinet minister.
Yeah.
This is a woman,
not above the law.
Wait. This is a woman who is very close to the president. But yet our president told us that if you are somebody who think that by coming into his government you will make money, then you are in a wrong place. Then that is not a place for you to come. Here we are, a very close associate with the president, found herself in, I can say that there is no way that she can exonerate herself from the fact that this money are gotten from ill.
They are ill-gotten money. That's
ill-gotten money. But just to say, to say for the fact that there is no way that the president can say that his government is not a corrupt government.
But that's what the OSP is handling.
I am pretty sure.
So you don't want us to wait to get to the bottom of this?
Well, we will wait to get to the bottom of
Yeah.
this, but to say that it's very embarrassing. And the clearing agent, the president, I think this time around, he's not been too fortunate, because when the fundamentals are weak, house helps will expose you. And this time around, the house help have exposed the president and his minister. I am pretty sure that, for example, if the house helps, this issue hadn't come up, and somehow somebody have raised alarm that, they found this amount in Cecilia Dapaah's account, our president would have come in her defense.
But at least the OSP has taken the matter and is doing everything required.
This time round, yes, they cannot hide, because the house help have exposed them. It just shows the level of corruption, that at a time when we're all crying, at a time when people invested their own money.
In 10 seconds.
Bawumia have advised that he's going to make sure that every Ghanaian own an account. The purpose of account was for Ghanaians to what? To save their money in. Now his own cabinet minister have not seen the need to put her money in the so-called account that Bawumia
And
is
you blame the vice president for that.
It is because they know that they have messed up the country, and they are now going into people's pockets and people's accounts and taking money. So because
it's funny, isn't it?
It is funny, yes,
Yeah.
because they know what they have done, and because we are not privy to it. So innocently we put our money in our account, and they have managed to do what? To cut our hair. And they are hiding this in their room.
Okay.
And so the house helps have exposed them this time around.
So you are proud of, you are supporting thieves?
I am not supporting thieves, but just to say that when you keep stealing from people, your cup will be full. And today, her cup is full. I am pretty sure that the other ministers, they know themselves who have chunk of money under their bed, buried in their homes, buried behind their houses, are by now also seeking cover. But
Right. So Loretta,
very
I'll give you,
soon,
10
also-
seconds
I'm
to
surprised if Dr. Adam
to wrap up.
mentioned His Excellency the President and the Vice President, because the two are their nemesis. But see, Doc must also know that there are no intellectuals without textbooks. She knows better. Textbooks make intellectual. But at the end of the day, I was quite amazed at the way, I don't know whether she recopied the special prosecutor's affidavit, because she was reading it verbatim.
She's a concerned Ghanaian.
But whichever way, remember?
Yeah.
The OSP is whose creation? Who set up the OSP's office? His Excellency the President. So if you sit down and say today he's been caught out. He himself has prepared issues to the OSP before. Has the OSP come out to say anybody heckling him? This will be investigated and investigated. All the things that she has read from the affidavit of the OSP are things that will be explained in court. I'm sure he also, as the chief investigator, has his own evidence that he will put to buttress all these things. It is a former public servant, if I should put it that way. But once you've served this country, once you live in this country, the laws, you are bound by the laws. This must be investigated and investigated well, so we all learn lessons from it. As for their issues, we'll come back to it. It's the same OSP's office that is dealing with Government Official 1, right? So I'm sure when we are done with Anti-CC, we need to also go to the end of Government Official 1, so we can have a conclusion.
Right.